Okay, good evening, everybody. We're holding an extra meeting this month. The Southall Matters meeting normally meets once a month, but because obviously there's a lot going on in the run-up to the election, lots of discussions, lots of media promotion of the various candidates, it's just an opportunity for us to have our own discussion. So, as usual, if you don't want to appear in the recording, please keep your camera off. The recording will be shared on social media for our followers to see. And we do expect that everybody shows courtesy to all participants and there are no unnecessary interruptions. So I'm going to hand over to Joe Bhangu. He is chair of CASH, but he is also standing to be an independent candidate for the MP of Ealing Southall. So it's an opportunity for Joe to engage with people who are participating and share the reasons why he feels that he is the best candidate to be MP for Ealing Southall. So good evening, Joe. I'm handing over to you.
Thank you, Angela. It's exactly what we've said. Well, I've said to the radio station that because we're not represented by our politicians locally. And we found this
Joe, you're not very
regarding the
clear.
gasworks.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we realized, well, we our politicians are not working on our behalf. That's what I'm saying. That I doubt if our voice in the last 33 years with the two MPs that we've had in the past have ever spoken regarding Southall in Parliament. So it goes to show only that you realize.
Joe, you're breaking up a bit. Are you quite far from your router?
Something else.
Are you outside? Because it's quite hard to understand you at
Let
some
me
points.
stand. Can you hear me now?
I think
Yeah.
that's better.
Oh, right. Yeah, but this is what happens. This is what happens with the block of flats at the rear of my house, the old gasworks. That's what happens with the telephones. Don't you remember once when we were having a chat? I think the phone cut off about 9 times.
Yeah, I
And
do.
that's
The reception's very
without
poor.
using the internet, of course, because the system cannot cope. The system is not set up for the volume of calls that are going through.
Mm.
So that's why phones are dropping, lines are dropping. And
Yeah,
this is to
yeah.
do with everything else as well. And yet they want another 15,000 flats in Southall, say average four people in a household. So where are you going to put the 60,000 people? Which hospital are they going to go to? Which doctor's surgery? Which school are the children going to be attending? And we said this in 2010, Angel,
Yeah.
that the infrastructure is clearly not there for the mass movement of people into Southall. But who's listening?
Well,
No, nobody's been
we've
listening to
tried
us.
as a campaign group to influence Virendra Sharma, and it took a long time for him to ask a question in Parliament. He set up an all-party parliamentary group on gasworks that only met once, and then it was basically mothballed. So, I mean, I don't know what his predecessor was like, but based on my attempts to engage the local politicians, including Virendra and the local councillors, they do nothing to represent the local community. They seem to be in it for themselves. to be wined and dined by the property developer. And any time anybody speaks up and challenges their behaviour, they will block them on social media. Arti, you're very welcome to go
Or
ahead.
regard them as troublemakers.
Exactly. So we have Arti here tonight, who is likewise a resident in Southall. So you've got your hands up. Please go ahead and ask your question or make your comment, please.
I do apologise for the background noise. An ice cream man's just passed. What I was going to say is in if I do break up, please do tell me. Also what I was gonna say is that when it came to Virendra Sharma, I for the very first time, until I didn't know he had dropped out, I had mentioned about the footpath outside my household and how bad it is, and being a disabled person, it wasn't really safe, or I just felt very isolated because I didn't feel safe walking out there. And when I involved him, I involved in the email, I CC'd the council, including the housing. Now, none of them got back to me, and I had to put it in as a repair. And even that was mixed up as well, because they didn't want to read what I had written in the whole letter and the notes. So I think miscommunication is really bad on their end, because they don't want to communicate with them, with the contractors who need to do the job properly, because all they do is send it over online. And that's what they had told me. I said, well, who had sent over the job then? They said it's done all online. And I was like, well, that's terrible then, because I don't think it's very fair that as a disabled person, you guys are making me feel like this, almost trapped, you know? And a question for Joe. I just wanted you to elaborate on what your aims are for, you know, the local area, and if you can just explain a little bit more about other things you are wanting to aim towards. I think that would be a good thing for myself to understand, if that's okay with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, the first thing is Southall needs and deserves a deep clean. I don't know if you've seen the photographs that I've been taking while I've been doing leaflets in and around the borough. And it's degrading when you've got a family who own their property and the neighboring house is a rented property, and the landlord has no regard or respect for the tenant, where he's saying to the tenants, oh, just leave the old bed and the mattress in the front garden and I'll get it lifted. And it's still there after 6 months. So one thing I would say is that I would encourage the council that there has to be big fines for landlords for not doing their duty. Fulfilling their duty, if you go to some of these homes that are rented, I'm sorry to say, the only word that comes to mind is squalor. What they're putting these poor souls through is a nightmare. I've had so many people say to me, please come inside, have a look how we're living. And I've promised people that I will come back with a camera to make a film. And are these houses adequate to be lit for, inhabitants? Should these people, poor people, be living under these extreme conditions? That is the lack of the local councillors not standing up with the residents, not helping the residents. And that is also denial from Ealing Town Hall. Because you got to remember, a lot of the rent is paid by housing department, and nobody's actually supervising or inspecting these homes. And that's what we need to do. Children are growing up. They're living in damp walls. That can't be good for their health. I was speaking to a doctor, and he was telling me that that's how asthma starts. So we really got to put our foot down. And being independent, that is the good thing about us. Being independent, we can take any topic from a resident and have our voice heard in Parliament. Where what people are not understanding, when you are joined by the hip to a party, it is the party that dictates to you what you can say and you can't say. And that's the problem that we've been having in Southall for the past 70 odd years. And that's why I believe that our voices have not even reached Parliament. I hope that helps answer your question.
Go ahead, Arti. You can respond.
I mean, it does. It answers bits and pieces of it. I do agree in terms of the how, I don't know if this is even the word, dirty Southall actually is. Now Angela's part of this campaign, but we've just started as a proper campaign and are doing play events so that kids can have safe play sessions where their families are able to stay there as well. We're called Safer Play, Better Day campaign. Now, just to get from my location to the park, I am being in a manual wheelchair. I have to go on the road because there's mattresses blocking the pavements. There's now a couch on top of that mattress area, which is terrible. There's bin bags left around. There's just, it's filthy everywhere. There's someone's tree going over their walls and stuff where we can't go past. So we're going through cars and on the road, through cars and on the road, and there's no other proper way for us to get home or to the park, which is the Spencer Street Park, and it's right on that road, all the way around on that road towards the park. And it's absolutely filthy. And in where I live, I don't want to say the exact location, but where I live is not very far from Spencer Street Park, but the fly tipping is ridiculous. And I feel if something is done with things as you have mentioned and that aims can be done, then that will be great, because I think fly tipping is a big thing. Now, having things like Ring doorbells, you can't always aim the cameras towards different directions every night and every day. You stick to it to one angle. You can't keep trying to capture who's trying to fly tip. Now my garden is an open garden, so we emptied bits and pieces and left it in the garden so that we could throw it after, and we were told we would get assisted with that. That didn't go ahead, and now people are fly tipping on the grass there. And, we can't cut our grass because there's so much rubbish on it. So we're now going to have to use our own money from our own pockets to get that rubbish removed and then pay more for someone to actually assist us with that grass, because it's growing as if it's terrible how it is. And I'm sure Angela can explain slightly, if you're comfortable, how it looks. it's not very nice as you come into the area and stuff. So that's one big thing. Another thing is antisocial behavior needs to be focused on as well as this, because I feel antisocial behavior has become out of line these days. And I think antisocial behavior has now just, I feel, been just ignored. And it doesn't really, nothing really gets done, to be fair with you. I've tried to report stuff online on Metropolitan Police, and I described what was going on near my house. And I gave a description of every individual that was actually, with the antisocial behavior, possibly selling or doing drugs. I didn't know, because they ended up covering our Ring doorbell camera in one part of the area of our location with a shoe. So when
Sad,
they were
sad.
near the house, I saw them. So I gave the description online and I put in a report, because we're vulnerable people in the house, first of all. And second of all, we don't have a man in the house who can easily, go out there and be like, leave us alone. That doesn't mean I'm putting women down, but that's what they see us as, weak women, because we're vulnerable. So that is another thing that to be focused on behavior.
You
Fly
see, the
tipping,
problem,
rubbish damage, the antisocial behavior. There's no form of, before, a couple of years ago, there would be Met Police walking around. None of that is happening now. People say, yeah, we'll get people to come and walk around. None of that is seen. None of that is happened until someone is actually fighting or possibly on the floor dying. We are not going to get anything. We are not going to get no word from any form of police when we're in danger and we feel like we feel vulnerable, and they tell us it's not an emergency, so just report it online. So I mean, there's so many things that need to be covered, and I just think that focusing on it, and I feel like, Joe, that needs to be spoken about if you want people to know what you're trying to do, because if you don't mention it, no, if you are actually aiming towards more things, and people are not going to think you're covering everything. They want so many people in the area, and antisocial behavior is a big thing.
It's on my leaflet about the police. We need more police in the daytime, and we need more police visibly walking the streets at night, in the evening. It seems like you haven't come across my leaflet.
So sorry to disturb you. The only thing with leaflets is people pick it up, really put it to the side. However, you need to put it on your social media and speak about it a little bit more, in my opinion.
We'll do that.
Because
we'll do that. But it's on the leaflet.
People would look at the leaflet,
of
but
course.
Then they'll put it away and throw it, thinking, oh, this is just rubbish. Obviously, because some people, they don't know. Not everyone will understand the concept of why you are giving them this leaflet. Obviously, I know.
No, we explain to them. We explain to them why we're giving them the leaflet. And I've had a lot of response
Joe,
from
you're
the
breaking
residents.
up again. You might need to stand up again.
They like what we've written. Yeah, they like what we stand for, because my family, I'm in it with you guys. We're suffering as well. Parking, I've written about that. Parking is a nightmare across Southall. It's an absolute nightmare. I've had people tell me they're doing shift work. They finish work at 10 o'clock at the airport. They're in Southall, 20 past, 10, and then they're spending time just driving around looking for parking space. It's unfair. You know, people need better. And that's the whole problem that we've had. The only reason I've gone down this path is because I've seen neglect to the residents of the borough. Everybody is up in arms. So somebody has to take a stand, and that's why I've taken my stand to try to get things changed. Because they've had it too simple. For the last 70 odd years in Southall, they've had it far too easy. We've had 2 MPs in the last 33 years, and yet we've always been let down because they haven't been listening. They're not working on behalf of the residents. They're working for the party. And this is what you have to try to explain to your residents, to your neighbors. And that's why we are in the situation that we find ourselves in. Because they don't come from a private background. Yeah, I run a business. I know how to speak to my clients. I know how to behave with my clients. I know the service that they're ringing me for. And as you truly said yourself, you write emails, you telephone, you leave messages, and nobody ever gets back to you. Well, if the leaders in Ealing Town Hall are doing that or behaving like that, if the local MP's office is behaving like that, then obviously the councillors are going to copy them. We don't matter. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. The residents do not matter. Once we give them a vote, they're in charge and they don't care about us. I get people telling me when I'm outside my house washing my car, oh, we're contacting our councillor, we've done this, we've sent an email, nothing has happened. And I said, well, how did they promise you when they knocked at your door? They said that things will be different this time. I says, no, we're always lied to. That's a problem. And we accept it. Well, I'll tell you one thing, I'm not a second-class citizen. You know, I won't accept this. And that's why I'm taking a stand. Things have to change for our children's sake. We can't carry on the way we've been carrying on. And it's shameful. And we deserve better. Thank you.
100%, Joe. Arti, are you in the room? Are you with us? Okay, you might want to join in the discussion and respond to the points that Joe has made. Rashpal, welcome to the meeting. How are you tonight?
Hi, good evening to all. How are you?
Good evening, sister. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, we have got a lot of problems, like the parties, they're not considering us, and we are suffering, and all of all the people, all the many problems, like we have transport issues, and overdeveloped, our area, and the fly tipping, and it's nightmare around here on my side, Broadway. At night time there are people, like screaming, shouting, fighting. Like the loud noises coming from cars. They are so much going on, but there I didn't see any police officers in neither in the daytime, not in evening or night time. Like even we call them, they're not responding. The police or any other services. I don't know what else to do. I am fed up now about Southall. It's making. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, Rashpal, we
I
can
thought.
hear you.
Okay. Yeah, it's getting worse. Like I think they don't know how to manage the uh, areas, or and they shouldn't be in the parties. If they don't know those people, I don't like them now at the moment. How they they're letting us down. People, the people having like mental health issues, because of this. and people sleeping rough on the outside, and like people suffering with many things, like they can't afford living, now it's getting very expensive, everything. And, so many gangs outside, it's like no hell. We are living in hell. It shouldn't be like this, and I'm just, it's too much for me, like noise and pollution, like bad, here coming, smell coming, you know. And from outside, from the shop bins also, and also outside, like fly tipping everywhere. And there's some people I post this post, Joe's post, and they're saying on the Facebook mm, it's a residents the job, but residents they do it, but if it is over, it's like extra, then what will they do? It's the council's responsibility, the party's responsibility to address everything. Like I am not, I think they are lying, all the time, and how long they can do lying. And people need to speak, but I don't know what people wants. They're going with the people don't know anything, they don't have any experiences, or they don't know how to do things, and it's too much here at night time also. I can't sleep, because of these people. All every 2 3 days they are there, like. And how, who can manage it, it's too much now. I'm getting mentally, disturbed. For many years it's going on ongoing, I'm fed up. I used to support the labor, but not anymore now, because they are not, they are just helping themselves, and they not think we are like, they're treating us like rubbish, and they're not listening to any of our concerns. Like people got, so many issues, like there are so many, I don't know, so many things they should be doing correctly, but they're not doing it. So I'm not,
Thank you
happy with.
for your contribution, Rashpal. It really is heartfelt. And because I live in the community, I definitely hear and empathise with what you were saying. Joe, do you want to respond to Rashpal?
Well, the first thing I wanted to say to Rush Pal is that I was walking down her street the other day, and Rush Pal, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I was walking down your street, and the good thing
Yeah,
is the buses turned their engines off.
yeah. Now it's a lot better since I, asked for your help, but still it's not. It hasn't fully stopped. How the labor and all. They're not. Like
No, no,
I.
no,
Yeah,
no, no,
yeah. I emailed Kamalji. She didn't done anything at all.
no, no, Rush,
Joe,
what I'm
you're
saying.
cutting out again. You might need to move or stand up.
No, what I'm saying is now switch off the engine, switching their engines off. Don't you remember the problem that
Yeah.
we had with the engines running outside
Yeah, your voice is not coming very.
home?
Joe,
Your voice.
you
Right,
might
well,
need to move towards
no,
your
what I'm saying is that
router.
Can't hear.
the buses now don't run their
Yeah,
engine
good.
outside your house.
Yeah.
The the
Yeah.
the buses are switching their engines off. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Now they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
now they do.
So that's good.
But
Yeah,
So that just goes to
that's a
show the power
positive,
of the
yeah.
sorted.
no.
Yeah, now
That
not
shows
better.
you no Rush Bell. That shows you that we can change things.
Yeah, you can. I know you can.
if we work
But
together, if
yeah,
we work together,
also Angela and everybody else, you are doing
Hmm.
so much,
we
Joe, what
can
about
achieve
the noise that
goals. That's what I'm trying to
Rashbal's
say.
talking about? The noise at night, people being, is it rowdy,
You
shouting,
see,
talking loud, urinating in the street,
Yeah, yeah. Drug dealers in my area, you
drug
need to stop
drug
okay,
these things.
dealing?
I can, ex I can explain that. What it is, you got these green panels that all I can say
Mm.
is sort of on the side of a footpath, the green color. Do you know what we're talking about? What I'm talking about?
No.
Well, let's imagine the size of my chest, halfway up to my chest. These things stand out. They're on the corners of footpaths. And what's happening is that a lot of people are using
Joe,
these bars where they can put
you're still cutting out.
the
The-
alcohol
Hmm.
and drink. Does that,
Oh, what the street cabinets? Like the one on Durley
just one
Road where
second.
people put their bottles on. Is
Yeah,
that what you're
yeah,
talking about? Yeah, I've got
yeah,
you.
exactly, exactly. So it becomes so it becomes a bar, and
Yeah.
then you have people standing around it.
Artie, we've got one near where we
I've got a
live
few
on
down here.
Durley Road. It's a green cabinet. And people leave
Yep,
their
Yeah,
bottles and
yep.
takeaway containers. It looks
That's
really
it. That's it.
untidy.
That's it.
It looks like a snack bar.
on
That's
Daily
it.
Road it
Yeah,
does
Yep,
yeah,
for
yep.
yeah.
sure.
And when
the-
Angela
the-
uh Rashbal, you're talking about the noise, okay?
yeah,
The noise, the reason behind the noise, this is what I've been looking into, yeah? People
maybe you can
are
wear also.
people are renting rooms, okay? And in those rooms, some people have got double bunk beds, I think they're called. Yeah, bunk beds, yeah?
Bunk beds, yeah.
So they're renting per bunk bed, okay, per week.
That's
All
very
right.
cool.
So the more you can get in there, the cheaper the rent is, I suppose. Okay.
Per
But
person, yeah.
someone's told me a bed you can have for £100 a week. Okay. But they are bunk beds. All right. So you might have three in a room, you might have four in a room. All right.
And these are
So
people
now
you
when
don't
those people,
necessarily know, is that right? Not sort of friends, not couples, just
no,
sort of random
no,
people. Yeah.
Angela, these are the people who speak to me. Yeah. Okay. So what they do is then when they're having private telephone conversations, they come out of the house. All right. And we see them, sitting in the gas works, um, sitting on a wall, leaning against a wall, and they're having their private conversations. And I know they're loud, yeah, but I think the noise that Rashpal is talking about, that is coming from these makeshift bars when people have had one too many, because they probably can't drink where they live, where their digs are.
So many,
Does it make
so
sense?
many walking around people, with the bags,
I,
they're walking around, like backpacks,
of course,
and
of
they're
course,
talking loudly. They're sitting somewhere
of
on
course,
the, yeah,
of course.
and they're talking loudly,
I know exactly. I know exactly what you're saying, Rashpal. I know exactly what you're saying.
and they're
Yeah.
screaming, they're fighting, the groups, they gather some group, like sometimes they,
Don't worry. We get more police on the road. Don't worry. There's
yeah.
nothing. If we work as a community, there's nothing that we cannot
I know you
do.
will do, but the others I'm talking about, they're not doing enough.
No, no, no. I'm
You,
talking about all of the borough. I'm not talking just about Southall. I'm talking about the
so
borough.
so so
Hanwell's got the
where
problem.
are you stand? Where you stand? Joe
Sorry.
in Southall only or other areas too?
No, it goes all the way up to Ealing Village,
Okay, okay,
Northfield, Hanwell,
okay,
where
okay,
part of West Ealing.
okay.
It's a very big place, the borough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It,
That's
but
good.
I've been to meetings. I've been to meetings in Hanwell.
Yeah, that's
I've
good.
been to meetings in I've been to meetings in Northfields, and
Really.
everybody's got the same complaint.
The place is very,
So it's not just happening. But
the,
Rishpal, you can't say it's just happening in Southall. It's happening everywhere.
yeah, I also thought
There's
so,
there's
because I
no
go
no no
around
no
and
no 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 no. There's no toilets in Hanwell. I haven't
uh,
seen one in Northfields. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
I haven't seen one in West Ealing. I've been told there's a toilet in W5. Okay,
yeah,
Ealing Broadway. So
mm-hmm.
come on, everybody's suffering. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Ealing
this
also,
is the
it used to be good, before, and now I don't think
no no
it's,
no. no
they are doing proper job.
Rashpal, please, Rashpal, please. There's just
Yeah,
too many people. Try to understand.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I know.
the majority of the people are being pushed into Southall because it's
I got
cheaper to live here.
I got so many leaflets, people standing, like two
Nay,
from river.
that's okay. What's happened? Yeah,
Mm,
the hard work that we've been doing for the last 10, 15 years, okay,
yeah, yeah,
it's opened the gateway, for a
yeah,
bonanza for everybody to become MP of Southall. and and Ealing. Are you with me?
mhm, yeah.
So, but these people have not been seen in Southall before.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah,
where,
it's,
where are
like
they?
they don't know how to, manage the stuff, the people, they need, they are not like things, you throw them, you use them and you throw them, especially this people coming, new people coming. There should be proper, like, what do you call it? Programs, like, proper management, like for everything, like, they are building so many buildings. I saw in the news that there was a fire on the big building in the which
Rashba,
area it was.
Rashba, please,
Yeah,
Rashba, what I'm trying to explain to you is very simple. The
yeah.
question that I have,
Mm,
where have these people been hiding before?
I
They
don't
all
know.
want to stand, they all want to stand for the MP of Southall and Ealing.
Just for money
Where
they
have
are.
they been hiding? Or Ealing and Southall, where have they been hiding in the past? Why haven't they come
Well,
out to help us with the gas
Keep,
works?
keeping quiet, Joe.
Yes,
I just want to
yes.
quickly
Well,
interrupt because Arti unfortunately left the call due to, I think, some technical problems. She's back on the call now
sure.
and she had her hand up. Arti, would you like to join us again?
Yeah, sorry to stop you, Rashpal and Joe. Um, I mean, I think my views on this is very different. Now, Joe, I understand when you say we should all work as a community, but I think some communities have been working together anyway and have not involved legal people because legal people are not actually doing their job. And when you are telling Rashpa that she needs to understand, I can only understand her frustration. And I understand that you are saying, what you're gonna try and do, get more police, get this. But I can understand where she's coming from when it's people outside. Now you can't say that they're people from just houses and build. No, 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 no. These are people who have chosen to want to be homeless. Some people choose this. Yeah, some people struggle and have become homeless in a struggled way. But some people choose to be in that state, choose to urinate everywhere. I was at a bus stop in
Uh-huh.
Southall, not in Southall, in King Street, the Green. And there was
Yep,
a man who had he wasn't even drunk. He was
yep,
probably in his 50s, was
yep,
walking with two crutches. He was a Sikh man, and he was just keep
sure.
telling people to buy him a can of Coke or something. And then
Yeah.
he started urinating, and we had to turn around, me and my mom. And I was like,
In
this
the
is
street.
ridiculous. So it's not actually, these people are not just people who are sleeping in the houses and on these bunk beds, as you're saying. So I don't fully agree with that personally, in my opinion. And another thing is when it comes to noise problems, I might be living in a different area as Rashpar, but noise I don't even know how to put it. The noise can be people
Noise.
talking. The noise
Noise.
can be people in the car shutting their doors and
Sure.
shut. The
Sure.
music is loud, that the bass is so loud. There's noise as in people shouting and arguing outside, or there's noise from people's houses because they're arguing, or there's noise from people outside who don't even live where you are living. There's so much that I can understand what Rashba was saying when I joined in. I missed the beginning, and I'm so sorry I cut out on you as well, Joe.
Don't worry,
When we
don't worry.
were having a conversation, but from what I heard from Rashba, I can only understand what she's trying to say because these people are ridiculously choosing this. If they wanted to, they could argue against council because I know people who have done that. They can argue with the council and say, I am eligible to stay somewhere, so help me stay somewhere. Now, when it came to you saying about living under one roof, right?
Yep.
It just doesn't seem right. I think part of that is a bit wrong.
Come to my road. Come to my road, and I'll take you to houses. Yeah, that got 20 people living in it.
No, I
live
know
on
that.
Bingshire Road, off South of Broadway. I live on Bingshire Road.
I know
And
that
do you know the
there's
biggest
houses
issue?
that are overcrowded for years.
And do
There's
you know
been
the biggest issue that we have?
overcrowdedness in houses for
Hold on,
years.
Joe. Let Arti finish, please.
There's
We've had
been
toilets
houses that have been
blocked.
overcrowded
Excuse
for
me.
years.
We've had
So
toilets
I
blocked.
know where there's houses near
Excuse
our
me.
areas where there's overcrowdedness. That's been going on for years and years and years.
Well,
I
it has
know
to
that
stop.
for a
It has to
thing.
stop.
It has to
It has
stop
to
for
stop.
sure, but you know, it's been going
Excuse me.
on for so many years that you can only
That's because no
understand
one's
our
looked at it.
frustration when we say we don't know whether that's actually going to happen or not because so many
We've
people
had
said, yeah, it's going to happen, but they can't actually do anything themselves after they've tried.
we can. Don't
So
worry.
that's
We've had
why
10
when we are
houses.
saying that there's overcrowdedness and, you know, there's people making these noises, I've had
No, we lost you again.
Arti, yeah. Arti, if you can hear me, you
We've
might
had
need
toilets.
to rejoin.
We've had toilets blocked on our street where people cannot flush their toilets. That's how serious the issue is. I've had the water board.
I believe you, Joe.
I've
Walking
had the
around the
water board
area.
come here.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had the water board come here. Yes, on a number of occasions. That's how serious this issue is. But what I think our friend didn't understand, what me and Rishpal were talking about earlier, was regarding the buses. If you remember, Angela,
Yeah,
that the bus drivers would park their vehicles and leave the engines running.
yeah,
And she had this issue for a number of years.
yeah.
So when I
Yeah,
say
it's
the
better.
community get together, do you remember
It's
when
better now.
the word I was using?
The noise, everything,
The
but still it's going on. You know, at
the
times,
word the word the
sometimes.
word if the community picks up something, there is achievement. We can achieve something.
But
Okay?
then we have to stand together, Joe.
Of course.
And we
Thank you
have
Of
to
so much.
have
course.
you being
Thank
our
you, Joe.
voice in
And
Parliament. Because, sorry, Rashpal. Just give me 1 second. When I look around the area and I see all these housing developments around the station in particular, and to rent or buy a flat, so to buy a flat is going to cost at least 400,000, yeah? The
Yes.
average salary in Southall is around about 8,500. So there is no way a person on an average salary is ever going to have any realistic possibility of buying a flat in one of these high-rise developments that you see in Southall. So as
You're
a
better off buying a
consequence,
three-bedroom house.
sorry, say again?
You're better off buying a three-bedroom house with a front garden And a back garden.
Yeah, but these people, my kids, how are they going to get on a housing ladder? Yeah. So you've got the rise of landlords who are in a position to take out a mortgage, buy-to-let mortgage for a family-sized house. And as you say, it's converted into a house of multiple occupancy, with possibly in one bedroom, maybe 2 bunk beds, so a total of 4 people in one bedroom. So let's say it's a 3-bedroom house, potentially you could have 12 people in the bedrooms. If you convert the living room, possibly 2 more people, so potentially 14 people. So what
Loft
I believe
conversion
is
as well. Loft conversion as
loft
well.
conversions, yeah. So what I believe is happening, because these are, HMOs, there are insufficient bins being provided for the tenants. Because when I walk around my area, I can see not only the beds, so the mattresses and the sofas, but bags of household waste with food waste, uh, including things like banana skins, also nappies. Okay, so more than likely, these bags of waste are coming from the HMOs. Yeah.
Sorry.
Sure, sure.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Welcome back. Yeah, Arti. What I was saying, is that there are a lot of houses which are converted into HMOs because there are greedy landlords who can make quite a bit of money by squeezing in as many bunk beds as possible. So say it's a typical 3-bedroom house, you could potentially have 4 people in a room, so 4 times 3 is 12. Maybe even convert the living room for another 2 people, maybe 14 people. And I think there are insufficient bins for all these tenants, because round our way, I see bin bags and they're full of food waste. Yeah, I walked past one, Caxton Road near the garage that's shut down. And there were flies buzzing around. God knows what was in the bag. I decided to cross the road. And this, I think, is a consequence of all these flats. They're not affordable for locals, all these flats under construction.
I agree.
So on a national level, there needs to be something done about more affordable social housing that are realistic for people to rent. We don't have enough, yeah? I mean, if you go back to Margaret Thatcher, she was all for people, owning their own properties. The social housing, the council housing was sold off and not replaced. So there's a massive deficit in council housing and even, social housing, because I don't believe social housing landlords are building as much as what they used to. Yeah. So, this is why you've got unscrupulous landlords taking advantage of people who will never get off the council housing waiting list, who will never be in a position to be offered social housing, and but they need somewhere to live, quite understandably, because we know that one of the councillors wanted to convert. I mean, this is how obscene it is, really. It's a flipping industrial estate. She wanted to convert one of her units into an HMO, and you could see from the plan, the drawing plan, there wasn't going to be enough enough bins for all the people who were going to be housed there.
But Angela, it gets worse. Near where I live, we've got 2 trees, yeah?
Yeah.
One's opposite my house and one's outside my house, basically, with my neighbour's boundary, yeah? On the footpath. And we constantly have people throwing their blue little rubbish bags, yeah?
Yeah.
So me being the person I am, I pick them up and I stick them into my bin, right? So one morning I'm doing the chores as I normally do, because people throw tissues, canned cokes near the trees, and I normally pick them up. And I see this gentleman going across the road throwing a blue bag. And I said, excuse me, young man, pick that up. And he picked it up and I said, can I have a word with you, please? I said, why are you doing this? And this is what he said to me. He said, we live on rent in a house and the auntie has told us that we can't use the bin. Okay. So I said, son, do you know why auntie said that? He said, no, I don't know why. Yeah. So I said, okay, fine, no problem. So I'm having a discussion later on the day with somebody else, somebody who owns their property also on my street. And he said, well, it's very simple. The lady's on Social Security and she's showing the council that she's living by herself. What do you think about that one, Angela?
That's probably a
Yeah.
tip of the iceberg.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Now, if I can just explain to you about the social housing. There is no problem with the social housing. Okay. Everybody deserves to be housed, as far as I'm concerned. All right. The problem is that the councils have subbed this out. Okay. They've subbed it out to companies like Peabody, yeah, Dominion, and there's another one, Catholic something.
Catalyst, yeah.
Right, Catalyst, right. Now, what they're doing is, they're saying, yep, we're going to go and find these people new homes. But instead, they're shipping the people out of Southall. They're shipping them to Birmingham. Yeah, they're shipping them far away from their families. And yet, they're going into places like Croydon, East Ham, Manchester, and bringing people from those areas to the back of my house. How'd you work that one out? I'm a bit confused.
Well, likewise, we
So
need
you've got families.
housing
You've
for
got families.
people on the council register who live local, need to stay local because their kids are going to school.
Family ties.
They might
Angela,
have family members to look after.
brothers, sisters. Yep.
Yeah, they've got a network that they depend upon. So it makes no sense to relocate them to an area where they don't have those connections, and it's isolating and
Now,
challenging for them. But I'm
Well,
just.
Can we just hear Angela out, Joe? 1 second.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just to reinforce. I can see all the flats going up. I'm sure you do, Arti, as well, when you're traveling around the area. But
yes,
a lot of these flats are actually inhabited by people who've come from overseas. Yeah. And if you're ever at the station, often you see people of what's the word? Far Eastern appearance, and they're traveling to the airport. So yeah, East Asian appearance, I should say. Yeah. And it's becoming a bit of a nightmare that we don't have the services. So if you don't mind, if I can move it on a bit, my daughter was traveling, it was a school trip into central London today. They arrived at the train station and she said there was a crowd of people outside of the station. They weren't allowed in the station. There were already some people inside of the station because of an incident on the railway line. And that caused massive disruption to the Elizabeth line, the Great Western Railway. She said we had to walk down South Road and catch the 120 bus to Northall to join the Central line to go into central London. So I said, why don't your teacher catch a bus from the Broadway to Ealing Broadway? And she said it was just mad busy. It was ridiculous. Now, I appreciate that it was an incident, but quite often there are delays and cancellations, which mean really for people who've moved to the area on the basis of central London being 20 minutes away, that is not always the case. And Arti, there was a time I went, sorry, can I just get my kids to shut? Can you be quiet for a minute? I was returning from Charing Cross Hospital. So I arrived at Ealing Broadway. The Elizabeth line train was absolutely heaving with people around about 5:30, I would say. I had no choice, I wouldn't have chosen to travel at that time, but I was returning from a hospital appointment.
Yeah.
There were people with their suitcases, right? And the suitcases right in the middle of the aisle. And there was a mum traveling with her little girl, and somebody very kindly allowed the little girl to sit on one of the suitcases. Arti, I have no idea how you would have got onto that train in your wheelchair. It was just
I was just
packed.
sorry,
Ridiculous.
go on. I want to let you finish before I make a point.
Yeah, just quickly to finish. Got to Southall. The platform was heaving with people. And I would say the train eventually departed, but it's quite dangerous with a number of people walking along the platform as the train was pulling out of the station. And then the staircase was so jam-packed, it took time to actually climb the staircase to exit the station. Well, I'm just going to say, we're going to have more of that to come based on the number of homes being built. It's just madness. Over to you, Arti.
Just to add on to that, I just think it's although they say this is a lot of accessible traveling with the Elizabeth line and many stations now with more access and everything. Sorry, 1 second.
A reminder, take my medication.
I do apologize.
No problem.
I just want to say that I just don't think the area, they think in different places. I could go to, I don't know, Ealing, Southall, Uxbridge. They say there's many accessible things that we can do to get to from A to B. So, for example, if I want to get from here to Ealing Hospital, that would usually, let's say, 45-minute journey. Now that takes me over an hour because bus drivers, one, don't want to tell the families to close their buggies when there's no child in there. Two, the drivers don't want to do their job and get out of their seat and tell the people, can you please move your buggy? Now, if I see a baby, I will say, you know what, I will wait because that baby, it can't be held. That baby needs to stay in the buggy to be safe. Yeah, just like any young toddler, they need to be in the buggy. However, if they are not in the buggy, please fold your buggy. And I get told I don't know how to fold my buggy. Now, it's ridiculous, exactly. And one other worst thing, if I wanted to use Southall Station, I wouldn't be able to. One, because there's no bus stop right opposite Southall Station coming from King Street.
Absolutely.
How they used to be. I would have to go right down to Park Avenue bit, then cross the road, walk down, get on a bus for one stop, that again, having to wait for an empty bus so I can actually get on. There's no point me going anywhere. That's why I'm so isolated. There's no access. It's ridiculous. Bags on the floor, rubbish bags, all this sort of stuff that Angela is mentioning. It's ridiculous because one reason why I didn't want to in the beginning mention about accessibility is because that's not who I am. I don't want to focus on just people who are disabled because there's people who are actually needing to travel to work every morning, every evening, and there's kids and students who need to travel using the trains to get to their location. And anyone, just like anyone in this country, they need to get to A and B. However, people in the stations don't do their jobs properly. They don't have proper people on the platform to say, please, wait till these people go up, then you can go. Stop pushing, no point. The next thing you'll know, someone's going to get pushed onto the tracks with a mistake and it'll be made into a scene. Now, that's the last thing we want. It's just that's how I feel, to be very fair with you, and that's why I don't go on the trains anymore. Because it's just it's just I would have to go all the way to Heathrow to get on an accessible what's it called? Accessible train
Platform.
station.
Yeah.
Platform, accessible platform. So it would take me it would take me ages to get from one place to another. There's no point. Otherwise I would have to use 3-4 buses just to get into Central. Now why would I do that? When I'm already suffering by having not even suffering, I'm already being like struggling to get from A to B in my local area, literally local area. How am I going to get from A to B when I want to go towards Central? It's just things that need to be put into place. You can't focus on one thing and not the other. It all links, they're interlinked.
Arti, I'm hearing you loud and clear on the obstacles and barriers, yeah, that are preventing you living your life and going around and about the same as somebody without a disability. And I recommend that if somebody cannot empathise and doesn't understand, is that they go out and about with somebody who is in a wheelchair or has to use crutches to see how difficult and challenging it is. Arti, one day I was on King Street waiting for a bus to Hounslow.
I see.
It was massively busy. The first 120, I was with my daughters, couldn't get on. So I said, yeah, let's wait for the next 120. Next 120 turns up. But there is an elderly lady and she's in a motorised wheelchair and she couldn't get on the first 120. Anyway, there's this young mum with her pram and she like tries to push her way on before Auntie, who was on her own. And I just said, Auntie's here, she needs to get on the bus. So I said, driver, put the ramp down. And I actually got on the bus to make sure Auntie could get on the bus and go in the wheelchair space. But, you know, that shows kind of like the selfishness of people. They think their need is greater than others. And I've seen it when I'm out and about in my job as a learning support assistant. And yeah, there's somebody, you know, they have their child in the buggy area. Well, as my daughter told me, wheelchair use is her priority. And I've seen situations where people are decent and they'll take the child out of the buggy and fold it up and put their child on their lap. And, you know, because how long should you have to wait for a bus until, you know, there's space for you? You know, you've got appointments and deadlines to meet like anybody else. But yeah, that's all I can say. People have a little bit of insight into your life if they went out with a wheelchair user. And I've done it with somebody on the buses, and it's not easy. It is really challenging, particularly when you've got, you know, for example, in this situation, a driver pulled up by a tree. Well, you know, how's a person supposed to get off in their wheelchair and the doors are opposite a tree? So do you know what he said? This was at the end of Lady Margaret Road. He said, "Oh, do you mind if I just go across the what do you call it, junction?" So we had to get off on South Road and sort of turn around on ourselves to go down the Broadway. Okay, it wasn't impossible, but it wasn't ideal that we couldn't get off at the end of Lady Margaret Road. So yeah, I hear you, and I've seen how difficult it is for people with disabilities to get around and about. And you're spot on about there is no bus stop for the train station, that you have to get off on Park Avenue. And Arti, this is another issue because I'll cross over the junction and then you've got the countdown, which, you know, from, is it 10 seconds down to 1? And I'm able-bodied, yeah, but I can only just about cross the road before the traffic starts moving. I've reported it to TfL. I said, you need to adjust the countdown before the traffic lights change from, red to green. And it's just disgraceful, really, that we are, as Joe said, you've said, and Rashpal, we're treated like second-class citizens. We've got to be the only town that has the announcement for Southall Station only in one direction, not in both directions. And you're right, we don't have a bus stop. And it's all about, really, I think, Berkeley Group, the property developer, having the road that is only used by a few people, which I think used to be the straight, and no redesign. I mean, that bridge was supposed to be widened anyway for a bus lane, and it wasn't. But yeah, there should be a bus
At the
stop.
beginning, we were made to feel it was meant to be a bus stop, but in the end, it's just a wider pavement for nothing, where people are just walking and crossing without a crossing.
Yeah, it's not about the needs of residents. Joe, I want to bring you back in. Is there anything you want to say in response to public transport?
Well, I've been using the buses, and what people do is when they're coming back from work, they'll put their bag next to them on the seat, and there's people standing and they want to sit down. And if you ask somebody, can I please sit down? You want to see the faces that people make. They think that the seat next to them is for their bag. So no, I only see problems ahead, I'm sorry to say. I don't see it smoothing out anytime soon. It's going to get worse. And it's not right. We deserve better, basically. And they're just putting everybody into Southall, like sardines. And that's what's going to end up. And then you can only put so many people in Southall. And we're already suffering.
No joined up thinking, Joe.
No.
Hospital appointments. No. Ealing Hospital used to have a paediatrics inpatient ward. I know because my nephew was admitted there a few times. And there used to be a maternity unit because I had both my kids there. And both of those services were removed, I think, back in 2014. And it's just ridiculous that fundamental services which people need don't exist locally, yet you are potentially expanding the population. I think, Joe, your estimate of 60,000, I think it's more like 80,000 people. And I saw the video where Deirdre Costigan was walking around Southall. She walked past the post office, which closed. And I know, Joe, you were an ardent campaigner fighting the cause to stop the closure. On the very last day, I saw somebody elderly going in there with their crutches. And I thought, how the hell is this person expected to travel to post offices on King Street, Western Road, Hanwell, etc.? It's not about meeting the needs of the community. It's to hell with you. You don't matter. You don't count. Just get on with it. She also walked past the town hall. And it wasn't that long ago that Ealing Council wanted to sell off the town hall to the Hindu temple nearby. That facility should be open to all, as far as I'm concerned, not just Southall community advice.
I agree. Being Hindu, and I still agree to that. There's enough temples around the area. Therefore, that place should be allowed to be used for many purposes. Many purposes. Like, for example, Angela, the campaign, if we had a bad weather, we could have done activities inside, being able to use facilities like that building in different rooms, having different activities. Now, how amazing would that be for families who can't afford to take their child somewhere and have to pay for it?
I agree 100%. There seems
It's
to be
not
very
fair on
limited
families.
use of the town hall. And I agree that that facility, yeah, should be open. I mean, you look at Let's Go Southall, and many of their activities are outside. I mean, we all know since
Yeah,
January until very recently, we've had a lot of rain. So what do they do when it's raining? Presumably the activities are just rained off and there's no replacement. You know, where's all the money going? Presumably the organisers are still getting paid even when the activities can't be delivered due to inclement weather. It's just ridiculous. But Arti, I want to bring you
yeah,
in. Let's talk about something positive. Whilst I quickly go to the loo, but I will be listening.
that's
Because
fine.
I think in Southall, I think the perception is, right, you know, if you're Hindu, you stay with your community. If you're Sikh, stay with your community. Christian, stay with yours. And basically, people are seen as being in kind of like boxes. But you know, we came
Mm.
together because Cash thought it was a good idea to apply for the funding to lay on event to celebrate the King's coronation last summer. And if it wasn't for that event, I wouldn't have met you.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah. But can you talk about, for the benefit of Joe and Rashfal, what the play campaign is all about? And I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah,
So please go
yeah,
ahead.
no problem. So we came together when it was a very rainy day actually, surprisingly. And it was in the area and I met Angela and she was obviously there talking about that. And I thought, you know what, we need to make a difference for families as well and younger kids who are stuck indoors and always looking at screens. And I thought, you know, in our days we weren't even allowed screens, and I'm not that odd, but when I was younger, I was quite disciplined in things like you need to read books, do your education. That didn't mean I wasn't allowed to have play activities. Now, nowadays, families sometimes don't know what's in the community and whether they're allowed to actually come to these events because maybe they might feel I feel out of place and that means my child will feel out of place. So there's things like this campaign, Safer Play Better Day, where we say that parents join in as well. And when we had 2 months ago when we had our first event of the year, it turned out amazing, and families were joining in, parents were talking. You know, it was so lovely that they were asking each other, will you be coming back? Because their kids were playing together. And they were asking us, oh, when's the next one? When's the next one? But it just shows that a community can work together. And it's not one religion, it's not one color. We're all the same at the end of the day. And we need to show these to the younger generation at the moment and the little kids how to be nice with everyone and still be able to play with each other and having that space for people to play, because they might not be able to some parents might not be able to afford an equipment like, I don't know, a little girl who likes to do hula hooping. She might not be able to get that hula hoop. They might not have enough space to keep that in the house. A boy who wants to play football, a girl who wants to play football, yet they will get, oh, a girl can't play football, a boy can't do this, and a girl can't do that. When we at our event said anyone of you are able to join in any of these activities, that doesn't mean that boys have to do this and girls have to do that. We wanted to mix these children together, make a safer area, so safe play, and make it a better day for that child and that parent or guardian that we've had an amazing hour or 2 hours, maybe more, that families didn't even want to leave. They were like, "Oh, is it finished?" We were like, "Yeah, it's been, just over 2 hours, And we almost felt quite quite sad wanting to have to pack up and leave because, we were there from before. And it just showed us that people do want this sort of stuff, and I think this campaign, I hope, that I personally feel like I'm going to do my own research in the town hall and see what the rooms are actually used for and what happens in that building, because when the rain does start, we can't just stop what we're doing as a campaign because people are going to think, oh, what do we do now? It's a rainy day. They should be able to still have that facility, and we can still have activities within a building, within a room, within two rooms, no matter what it is. I, as a person, would do anything to help anyone want to have their child just have a smile on their face, can have a better area for them to feel that their child was kept safe whilst having to play. And I don't know how much more I can just express how much this means, this campaign to me. I want to put my all into this because it does mean a lot to me. And, Angela has been an amazing support. And I can't thank her enough for this because if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would be able to do it alone. And she's just been amazing. Her and her daughters as well help out. And I just think that they're amazing and they get to see that their mum does an amazing job. So they're looking up to her as a great thing. And her daughters are so helpful. They get along with the kids as well. They were doing things with the children as well. It was just everyone was playing together. The parents were talking, kids were playing with each other. It was just amazing. It was such a lovely, lovely day that even we felt like we could just talk about it for days on end, and that's what I really think about this campaign, that I really hope that, we get support in the future to make this campaign even more help for everyone.
That's
Very
very
well
good
said.
understanding. It's very good. But it just goes to show the community getting together, we can achieve things. And this is what it's all about. Community spirit. That's what you need. And this is what is lacking in Southall at the moment. People are living in the same houses or in the same digs, and they're not speaking to one another. So we need a community spirit. That's what I've been brought up with in Southall. When I was a child, all the neighbours used to be out in the summer, speaking to each other. And now, how many people do you see standing outside in the front garden speaking?
Not many.
So that's what we're about. Yeah. We're about community.
We're paving the way, Joe. Because
of course.
if it wasn't for organising, and you were part of this, that little get together at a certain place, I wouldn't have met Arti. And also to get support from London Play.
They've been amazing as well.
Exactly that. And thank you, Arti, for your very kind words. It's a team effort, and without you, it would be nothing. It wouldn't be happening. I know it wouldn't be happening because I said to you, oh my God, I'm stretching so many different directions, and but you are so passionate, and really you are an exemplar, and it shows. You are very well deserved of your community award from your housing association, because the council, the MP, Deirdre Costigan, they don't care about us. They're not interested in us, but we will try to make lives a little bit better, as you've already said, for parents who are struggling, showing that play doesn't have to be expensive, isn't just kind of like, you know, the exclusive right of people who can afford to take their kids to Go Ape and, you know, all the fancy places that you can go to. You know, you can just have fun with your kids in the local playground, as you said, with hula hoop, a ball, some chalk. It was amazing. I loved it. And I walked past on the way back after packing up a neighbour's son, and he was with one of his friends, and they were really interested and said they'd like to attend. So it's possible. It's absolutely possible. You know, you start small, and you know, we can build big. Yeah. And I always remember what a colleague said to me. She said, when you see something on the ground, I won't say what it is, do you step in it or do you go around it? Well, we go around it. It doesn't stop us from doing what we want to do and what we want to achieve. Yes, the political elite, and I know Joe might be part of this, are full of self-interest. It's about, you know, what mills and other benefits they can get from the developers. But that is down to their conscience at the end of the day. Yeah. We do what we do because we sincerely care about this community. We want better. And Arti, I'm just so pleased to have met you and be in a campaign with you and to benefit from your enthusiasm. And also, I hasten to add your artistry, because you are an amazing graphic artist. And the leaflets that you design are so eye-catching. When I ask people at the very first event, how do you know about this event? They said the leaflet. So Joe, yeah, leafleting works. You know, people picked up the leaflets in some of the local schools, the Dominion Centre, and even the local health centre. You know, we will continue doing what we are doing to roll out play to the very youngest in society and their families and their parents. So, you know, they can just have a bit of relief from the stress of thinking, am I going to pay my bills? Oh my God, I've got to think about a new school uniform for September and all the rest of it, all the things that can really get you down. It gives us some light relief. And I loved it, you know.
Yeah.
Skipping. I haven't done skipping for years, you know, and lying down and allowing somebody to draw around the outline of my body and then colour it in. It was just fabulous. And Arti, for you, playing with the kids, you know, you were encouraging them to play, holding a skipping rope. And I think also importantly, engaging with the parents, getting them to buy into what we are doing and seeing the value, and that, you know, we are doing it because we want better. We want better for the community.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember the lady who was the very first one, the pregnant lady with her little daughter.
Do you know, she walked all the way from, was it Hamborough? Or was it Blair Peach? It's either Blair Peach or Hamborough. Quite far. She walked far. I was amazed.
Yeah, and we were. Do you know what it is? We were able to.
Someone is at the ladies.
Sorry, I apologize. You know, it was amazing because she was like, I had such a good time. My daughter doesn't want to leave, you know, and she's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, it was a beanbag game. We were just making games up, you know, and she did it, and we made her feel like, yeah, well done, you did it. And then she goes in the end, she goes, Mummy, I did it. I did it. And, you know, things like that. It was the slightest things that we could help children with, that their parents might be struggling with to do, and that they might not be able to understand that, you know, how else can I try to make my child feel like they can do something?
Absolutely. Just having some fun and not feeling, oh, you know, I feel bad because I can't take them to all expensive, organised activities. But you can, you know, just with the simplest of resources, like you say, throwing bean bags, drawing with chalks, the hula hooping, kicking a ball around, really fun stuff. And I'm just so grateful to having met you and feeling this is somebody else who's part of my community and I'm connected. And we've got to make those connections.
Exactly, and we want to involve everyone.
Yeah, go against the politicians who think they're going to take advantage because they think because we're poor, we've got health issues, money problems, housing problems, that we're just going to bow down to them and accept the status quo. Well, no, we're not. And I tell you what made me really angry the other day. Monday morning, I was walking, not to school, but to the bus stop on Western Road. And sorry, I can't avoid talking about the fly tipping. It was everywhere.
Oh,
and anyway, I stood on my road, and yeah, it's awful. The pavement's all broken up, it's tarmac, and it's really badly damaged. And I thought, oh, I've just had enough of this, So I took a photograph. Arti, it's very near the overgrown hedge that you talked about. And I've reported that because the landlord of that house needs to cut back the hedge. You can't get past safely because it's overgrown. Anyway, this mum was walking past with her kids, 3 primary school children, and I was just marveling at how smart they looked. Their white shirts are pristine. The little 3-year-old was wearing a grey pinafore, absolutely immaculate, and it just kind of like juxtaposed with the dirty streets and all the bags of rubbish. And I said, oh God, this pavement's terrible. And the mum said, my daughter, she nearly tripped up and fell over on the pavement. I said, yeah, I'm reporting this. And a bit further down on the corner of the Scotsman pub, somebody's dumped a fridge freezer. And I thought, they don't give 2 hoots about children, because we all know it's a place, if children are playing hide and seek under no supervision, it's a place they could end up being suffocated in because the person didn't even bother to take the doors off. And I tell you what, it's a bit embarrassing. This is a few years ago. I saw a photograph of Caxton Road, and I think on that day there were 2 fridge freezers on the pavement that you could see on Google Maps. It looked awful, really embarrassing. But yeah, I think for me, yeah, there are lots of negatives, but the one massive positive is Joe, and he is a man of the people. And I know by the sounds that you might need to work a bit harder getting your message out on social media. But I walked the streets with Joe on Monday, and so not Monday, last Monday. And I was like flabbergasted. I did 21,000 steps in about 4 hours, and I was just amazed with Joe's ability to connect with people, who are really frustrated with Labour. They don't like what's going on any more than we do. How many other candidates can you actually say every day have walked somewhere between 20 and 40,000 steps to convey their message, to find out about people's issues,
talking to people,
listening to people? I mean, what I've seen of Deirdre Costigan, lots of photo opportunities outside of or inside Gurdwaras, the Mandir church, the Labour Asian Society, and so on. But it doesn't seem to me that she's done any door knocking our way. Maybe she's done it elsewhere in Southall. I had 1 leaflet drop from my letterbox, I think it was last week, that's it. But I've not seen any canvassers, unless they are leaving it until this weekend, who knows? But Joe for me represents freshness, change, commitment to this community, that there has to be better in housing, in education, in the National Health Service, and the other issues that affect our lives, the cost of living. I haven't even touched upon clean air for Southall and Hayes. And do you know what the irony is? I was listening to Joe on the radio broadcast, and the fumes from one of the asphalt plants was entering my home. And to be honest, it's like being battered around the head. It leaves me senseless. It's the equivalent of having a petrol station in my kitchen area. It's awful. And,
Yeah.
this wasn't touched upon by Deirdre or John McDonnell because he spoke on the same broadcast. And, when they were asked about environmental issues and sustainability, nobody touched upon the air pollution from point sources. We know, obviously, the main source is vehicles. But as I said, we have the asphalt plants, we've got the gasworks, we've got companies with small incinerators, we've got people who burn waste in their gardens. And all of these are sources of environmental impact that are not being effectively tackled. And I think if the candidates were to spend time with us, they'd really get to understand the multiple inequalities that we face in Southall. I am just concentrating on Southall rather than Hanwell and Northfields, because in comparison, those areas are more affluent and don't face the same health inequities that we do.
I mean, I don't know if you remember, Angela, sorry for interrupting you, when I told you about the rubber smell. And there's a gentleman, unfortunately, he lives alone. He does have learning difficulties. And every time he smells burning, he calls the fire brigade saying, I think something's burning. But it's people behind his bungalow burning rubber. And you can smell it. You can smell it from here. You can smell it. And it's terrible. It's so bad that I feel so bad for him, because people judge him saying, oh, it's him again. It's him again. It's him again. But you can't blame him. He's living alone. He doesn't do anything. He can't do much, because I know I've lived here for many years. I've known him for many years. He lost his partner, who was also disabled, and now he lives alone and also pays for an extra room because he just doesn't want to move from this area. And it shows that people still do want to live here no matter what. But with the struggles that happen like that, when he's scared because he smelt burning, there was once where 2 fire brigades happened. It worries that is he actually in danger, because of the smell at the back of the house, the burning. Who knows, it could spread across. It's terrible, the pollution, everything put together. And I think, Joe, with supporting you, I think you should allow people into it so that we can spread words as well and say things so that it helps people like yourself who want to get their message across. And I know it can be frustrating because when you want to get your point across, you feel like, right, there's so many people, who's going to actually want to work with me on this to make it better, like we said about the fly tipping, and if we all spread the word, all complain about it, the same thing, they're going to have to do something. They send us letters from the housing telling us, don't put bags on top of your bins, otherwise we won't collect your bins. Well, what do you want? That's not my rubbish bag. Someone else put it there.
Of course.
So
this is what it's all about. It's called we have to work as a joint community.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And that's the only way. That's the only way we're going to win. I spend time. I'm doing sometimes 8 to 9 hours a day speaking to people. I was in a council block of flats yesterday, and I met this young couple, African Caribbean, And I asked them, has a politician ever been here? And they said no. That's what the shameful part is.
Yeah.
They've never had a politician at their doorstep. Okay. So I promised them, okay. I said, keep fingers crossed. And if I win, I shall be back. All right. Because I don't forget people. I've been living in Southall since I was 2 years old. I'm 60
No, I
years old. I've been
believe
here
you.
58 years. I've been here 58 years.
Yeah.
What kind of legacy are we going to leave for our children?
Yeah, and
That's what you
that's
got to
why
look at.
people, yeah, that's why, like, as a young adult, that's why it makes us want to do things, because we've seen our
Of
parents
course.
try and do their
Yeah.
best.
Well, my parents were too busy working, trying to bring us up.
Exactly, trying to bring me up. You know, this is the
Exactly.
way to do it. You need to do it in the right way. This is how you should be. And, you know, being disciplined as a child, I can't thank my family enough. Otherwise,
Of
I
course. Of
don't
course.
think I would have a mindset like this, because, you know, there's kids out there that are spoiled and that are really troubled, and I can't even judge them, because we don't even know what they're going through.
No, but sister,
Absolutely.
you try to give discipline to your children now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
When they're in their school, they get told, dial this number.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
necessary, Joe, to keep them on the straight and narrow. Sorry to jump in,
Yeah.
because I really want to try
No.
and get this in before the end of the meeting, because Arti, you're local to me.
Yeah.
And it was shared by another resident. I think it was on Monday that
Okay.
Southall Rec was closed. And I'm sorry, I might have got the day wrong. But anyway, later on this week, it was said there was a murder in the Rec. That's why it was closed. So
My God,
I
I
don't
don't
know
even
whether
live
you've
far
heard
off.
anything.
I don't have a clue. The only thing I do, and I mean, I'm only on social media, I don't really use it, but what I do look at is the UB1, UB2 page, because when my mom wants to go out, I want to make sure she's safe. So I just keep checking that and calling her and saying, Mum, don't go this way, use a different way to get home. You know, because she uses the buses. So I mean, it's all news to me
Yeah,
now.
I just
And I saw
wondered.
your
Yeah,
post a little bit about a wreck, but I was
yeah,
posting stuff about the campaign that I just didn't get to finish reading it. But that's something I can find out. But I had no clue about that, and you know me, I'm nowhere like far from the area.
exactly. And
It's such a
yeah, yeah,
it's
because
so bad because we live so local to it.
well, I
And
can't understand why the police haven't issued a statement. There's no media coverage. I've Googled,
this is what I
I can't
mean. It's
find anything.
terrible.
And I spoke to somebody today, and I said, "Well, have you heard anything about the wreck?" And they said there was gunshots heard, and somebody was shot dead. I mean, I don't know whether there's any truth to that. Obviously, it's unverified. But then, something has happened, a serious
I
incident.
mean,
Why isn't there any publicity?
yeah, and I
Make us
mean, you
aware.
know what it is? It gives me such bad anxiety because when I hear fireworks, it gives me anxiety when I just hear a random firework. You think, wow,
Yeah.
is that actually a firework or is it a gunshot? And then one of my neighbors said the area she used to live in, they used to take off fireworks to say the drugs are ready to sell, come and collect them.
Seriously?
Yes.
My God, I've never heard of that before.
I know. When I heard that, when I heard about that, I was like, I cannot believe that.
So it was a signal. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a signal.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in a
Code. Yeah.
like if it's a wedding or something, you'll know, you can hear the music, you can hear the celebrations in Southall and in our local houses down here. But when you hear a random firework, that's the only thing that goes in my head now. So if I hear a random
Yeah.
firework,
I've
to
never heard
me,
it. Yeah, it doesn't surprise
I
me.
feel like,
Yeah,
right, okay, I
what's
know there's
going down?
burglary,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I didn't think people actually sent off signals like that. Like, it's such a bad area, though. Unfortunate,
yeah, yeah.
they're
I'll tell you
working together.
something. Just out canvassing, or supporting Joe with his canvassing. There are a couple of roads, and the smell of cannabis was absolutely overwhelming, just hanging in the atmosphere. Whether there were drugs in the
Yeah.
car, I don't know, or someone's house, but it was so potent. It wasn't a case of somebody walking past and you get a waft of it. It was just hanging there. It was terrible, absolutely
Mm.
terrible. But I think what concerns me,
Mm.
there are things happening in Southall, I mean, criminal things, and
Yeah.
some of these incidents are not making the news because I also heard about a stabbing on a road, one of the roads off Adelaide Road, where the old HSBC
Yes.
bag is down that road.
Yes. Yes.
And then on the same day, somebody posted a photograph of the helicopter emergency service, HEMS, which had landed in Southall Wreck. And I said, it's probably to do with the stabbing I heard about. But it just seems like we get the news on the grapevine from, our associates, friends, neighbours, but nothing in the media or Metropolitan Police Station, police statements. I've tried and tried to get
Yeah.
a meeting with the local police, the Safer Neighbourhoods team,
Yeah.
and Safer Communities, and they've come back with nothing other than we'll let you
Yeah.
know
It's all
a
talk.
date. Yeah, but this was weeks ago, Arti, and then somebody posted on Next Door Neighbours. There's going to be a meeting in Norwood Green for people who live in Norwood Green with their Safer Neighbourhood team and their local councillor, John Martin. So I'm thinking, well, we want the same. So why isn't it happening? We want to talk about the crimes that are affecting us and the police response. We want to know why it's so poor, really. I mean, a few years ago, somebody rang me and he sent me a photograph of his hands, and his hands had all these wounds on it. So I rang him for what the hell's gone on. He said I was attacked, and he lived on one of the roads off the Broadway, and it was on the day of Eid, and this goes back to before the pandemic, but I can't tell you what year it was. And I said, he said he's been assaulted. And he said I didn't see the person because obviously he put his hands up to defend his face. Anyway, I called the police, and the police were asking sort of questions because I think they wanted to know about mental health and anyway, I said, look, he's injured, you need to get around there. Anyway, I also called an ambulance, and a paramedic turned up hours after I made the report. He went to Ealing Hospital, and he was told to go to West Ealing Police Station to report the incident. He went to West Ealing Police Station, it was closed. I think it was permanently closed. And then he was told he had to go to Acton Police Station. Not sure if he went to Acton Police Station because I can't remember the exact detail. But I do remember him telling me the day after that a female police officer turned up to take a statement from him. And I thought, well, what good is that? A crime has been committed. It was on the day of Eid. The assailant could be long gone, because obviously a lot of people come into Southall for that particular event. But it was quite alarming. We don't have a police station. It's not good enough.
We don't have a police station, and that's what scares anyone, to be fair with you, because even the Met Police don't want to do anything. Like I said, when I reported the 5 men, they weren't even young lads, the 5 men that came in through my drive-through because we don't have anyone that drives in our household, who covered the camera, our Ring doorbell camera, with a shoe outside in our garage, which in our drive-through, God knows where from that shoe came from, and they covered the camera, but they don't realize we can still hear them. and we saw them when they came in the drive-through. And when I reported it online in detail, describing each and every person's outfit, their nationality, what they could be, possibility of age, did I hear anything back? No, I didn't. I didn't hear a thing.
It's disgraceful, isn't it? So
It
there's
was 5 men, and
no
we are 3.
reassurance
No,
whatsoever
no
that they were going to
reassurance.
investigate.
Yeah, no,
They
they
didn't
didn't.
turn up.
Nothing.
Where is the policing? It's
It's
not
terrible.
good enough.
This is why I hope, like with Joe, that we can actually make this happen. And we all work together to make this happen. And I know that as part of our campaign, we can, as much as possible, whatever we can do to try and spread the word as well. Because, if we don't help each other, I don't know how else we can do this. And, that's what a community is. You help one another.
100%. And let us all push for a community meeting. If it's good enough for people who live in Norwood Green, to meet with their neighbourhood team and their local councillor, the same should be happening in Southall Green. Because there's far too much going on that's underreported. That might benefit maybe the property developers, because obviously the fewer crimes that are actually publicised, it's going to make Southall look a better place or a safer place. But it doesn't help us as residents who feel you do, very insecure in your own home, very concerned, worried if these potential criminals are going to come back. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I don't know, Angela, if this can be a possibility that I could do some research in actually how the town hall is being used at the moment in Southall and what the rent is for one room, which I've done training in for a voluntary job. And they're not as big as we think, and the ceilings are not as high as we think in those rooms. So they're quite compact rooms. So I don't know if this is a good idea or not.
It is a good idea. Please,
doing a bit of research. So then maybe we can hire out 2 rooms and get adults, not the kids, but the adults together to get their opinion on how they're actually feeling. And that can build a community for the adults as well. And, they might want us to talk to each other about their areas. Who knows? There might be neighbours. They don't know,
that is a brilliant idea.
It might not happen.
Please go ahead and do that, because I think, Joe, you'd be up for that, wouldn't you?
Yes, of course. Why not?
Because I think, Joe, this would be beneficial for you. Hopefully, touch wood, you get the votes in, and you are our local help person, and I can only call it a help supportive person, because I think that's what people need to know, is that you're going to be the helpful supportive person, and that's the only way I can describe it. And that's why I think if we find out how much they actually charge for those 1 rooms, I mean, I don't care how much we have to spend on it, but getting the adults together in our area, which, Angela, how you do with the leafleting, I don't mind doing one for adults. I mean, it might not be now, it might be, I don't know, down the line a little bit, because I got to do the research. But I can always stay in contact online on Twitter and message through that with you, Joe, and with you, Angela, and we can talk through it on Twitter and see who is actually helping, who could actually be seeing this on the Twitter account if we say how unsafe we are feeling as individuals.
I agree.
Nobody knows.
I think there's mileage in it, because basically what you're talking about is having a Southall Matters community forum,
Exactly.
actually in person,
Yeah.
in the town hall, which is central. So it's easily accessible whether you live in UB1 or UB2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
am up for that. If you
people,
can find out the
yeah,
details, please
disabled
share. Let's
people
get
will
this
be
on.
able to get in
Go.
there because there's a ramp, so disabled people can get in there, and so nobody will feel like they can't come and have their say. I think
100%.
we
I'd be
should
up for
all,
that.
have that community meeting and talk and have it live on Twitter so that people actually know this is the real truth about what our community is going through.
I agree. And that will also challenge Southall Community Alliance as being seen as the voice of the community. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Metropolitan Police will then have no word against us because there's so many people who are putting their saying against them because they're not doing their job. We are working as a community here and having neighbours that we can and cannot talk to. That's not how it used to be. Before you used to be able to walk out your door and greet each and every neighbour. Now it's just like, oh, she's like this and he's like that, which is terrible because of the community. But
I agree. I think with your energy,
in all words,
yeah, and your passion, because you're a fresh voice tonight, Arti. Because with the greatest respect, Rashbro, you've been on the call before, but to hear from somebody fresh, and we're all sort of, singing from the same hymn sheet, and then actually, it's gonna make Ealing Council start to sit up and take notice. Actually, it's not just Cash, it's not just Rashpal, it's not just Sophia. There are other residents who are willing to step up, be counted, be a voice, and not just talk about it on Facebook or Twitter, but actually commit to actually attending a face-to-face meeting. Yeah, because I think Inspector Ballard, he's attended SEA's meetings, but it just seems to be a bit like a tick box. It's the same people, same faces. Well, hear from us how we're affected by crime on Southall Broadway, South Road, the Green, Western Road, Southall Rec, and so on. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I think the way we're going, we're not paying lip service to this. We can make it happen in the same way. All of us together has made safer play, better day a reality, and to see the net benefits is wonderful, and it's also an opportunity. We can have a casual chat with parents. How is it where you live, and get them to buy into community meeting as well.
Yeah, and it shows that we are trying to have a safer play for their children, and we're hearing them out as parents as to why they may actually think twice before coming to these events as well.
Absolutely.
What is stopping them, and how can we help that? We need to be able, as much as helping the kids, we should be able to help their parents. I might be just 30, but I want to be able to help the elder community, young people, children. There's so many people who feel like they can't say how they feel, and that is what it's come to these days, because they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be, they don't want people to think, oh, this person said this, so I'm going to get judged now, I'm staying indoors. It's so, in me, it just, it boils my blood when people, can't say how they feel, and I think parents, were very reluctant in the beginning when we started the play event. But when they saw how we were, like, it's okay, you don't have to play it. When you're ready, you play whatever game you want. There's equipment here, you choose. There's drawing in that corner if you want to just sit there quiet. And that's what one girl did. She drew. She wasn't playing, she just drew. One boy started off as a very quiet boy. He was the first child that turned up. And I was like, you can play. You're allowed to play. And in the end, we saw him playing football with two, three other little boys. And I just looked and I was just so happy that he was open. He opened up. That's what I mean. Kids these days sometimes can't say how they feel as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can't blame the parents because we don't know what the family is going through. They could be
100%.
scared, you know. So, I mean, that's what I have to say for tonight. I mean, I feel like I want to get to know what's actually happening with this town hall and down the line, you know, at the moment everyone's on this election for next week. But after that, I think I'm going to look into what's happening with the town hall, what actually made people, what actually made the people think it was going to be shut down. Why were we made to know that, okay, we don't actually have a town hall now, you know,
Exactly.
and things like
Yeah.
that.
Arti, your power is captivating. So whatever the result of the election, because this is the last meeting before the general election, we carry on regardless, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Our
Joe, I
lives
don't
don't
think you
stop.
should stop. Yeah, don't, Joe, honestly, we need to, yeah, okay, we might agree with some people who have been chosen, but there's things that we've discussed that maybe they don't know about. And hopefully they hear us out too at one point down the line. But Joe, honestly, we need to work together, and I know you will do that. Hearing from you tonight, and I know hearing from Angela as well, and from Rashpal, how we all feel, you know. And I think we need to get more people, you know, into meetings like this, because if they don't get heard, like today when I joined, I didn't realize I would share so much information. I'm
Of
very,
course.
in the beginning, I get very, very quiet at first because I don't know people.
Sure.
I think I'm gonna do this now. Um,
Well done.
Yeah, thank you for coming tonight. It's greatly
yeah,
appreciated.
I really, really want to be able to help people because I've been brought up doing that because my father.
Oh, Artie, I think you've dropped again. I don't know whether we can pick up on what you were going to say about your father. But Joe, thank you for
Yep.
coming tonight.
You're
Greatly
welcome. You're welcome.
appreciated.
You're welcome.
Because whatever happens, whatever the result, you know, we will continue and we are
We're still
building.
here.
You know, I didn't know
We're
Auntie
still here.
until, you know, the King's
Sure.
coronation event that we organised. She's come back in. So
Yep.
yeah. And same with Rashpal. Didn't know you until, you know, we started campaigning about the sports centre and yeah.
I've done
Oh
it.
yeah.
I've come on
Oh,
camera.
you turned on your camera. You do
Yeah,
realise you're going to appear on the recording then because it's going to go out on Twitter and
that's fine.
Facebook.
I mean, I was very scared at first, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like if someone sees me in public, then they should know that I will hear them out. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. And you know, we haven't always agreed tonight, but the one thing is we've shown respect to one another and we can find our commonality, what binds us together that we can work on to move forward on. So it doesn't stop here. And, you know, it's been wonderful that you've joined the meeting tonight because, as I said, you're a fresh voice. And it's going to make the authorities start to think, actually, how many other people are like Arti who will start to step forward, who will start to put their head above the parapet and get their views known in a public forum. But I think you're right. We have to do it face to face because I don't know if you remember at the play event, there were a couple of women when I asked them to fill out the questionnaire, they said we haven't got data, so they couldn't access the QR code. So let's do it face to face. That's how our community works best. We'll
I
do
agree.
it. Yeah.
I
Shall
agree.
we? Thank you very much. Joe, have you got any closing words for this meeting?
No, I just wish everybody luck, and I'm sure we'll be able to organise something. That's not a problem, but it's very
Yeah.
good to hear from everybody. And it doesn't stop here. We're still living in Southall. We're still living in the borough, so everything matters. So if we stand together as a community, we can only go forward. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Joe.
And
Wish you
And
all
Joe,
the very best.
Yeah, Joe,
thank you.
that's all just want to say. I'll be on your. I don't think on our campaign page. I don't know if I followed or not. I will follow.
I'll get Angela to send you a copy of our leaflet. I'll ask Angela to send you a copy.
Yeah, actually, that would be great. That would be great, and I can.
No problems. No
and
problems.
to follow.
Mind,
What's it called? Is it
Southall
Residents Association or Alliance? I can never remember what the A stands for, Joe.
Southall Residents Alliance.
Alliance. Yeah, Arti, I will send you the links to.
That covers all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. And also, when it comes to communicating about future things, I'm, happy to with leafleting as well, making them and stuff. Just give me a shout on Twitter, and I'm happy to help out.
Yeah. That'd be amazing, because Arti, your graphic skills are second to none. They're amazing. They're absolutely outstanding.
I've only done the children ones, but I can be professional.
People notice. Trust me, your layouts. So I wish I had those skills. I don't, and that's such a good skill set to have. But anyway, I think we should close the meeting tonight.
Yes.
What the election will be. But thank you, Joe, to contributing and explaining about where your passions lie and what you will advocate on behalf of residents in Parliament. And Rashpal, thank you for sharing your experiences of life in Southall and how it impacts on you. And once again, Arti, thank you for talking about the Safer Play, Better Day campaign. That was outstanding. And I don't know if we'll have a meeting in July, but obviously keep watching our social media to know when the next meeting will be. So good night, everybody. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.